All right, Ampy, you've been listening. You are to teach us BWL hardcore for the next hour and a half, okay? Or shorter, but hour and a half is as long as I have, and then I gotta go. So an hour and a half. I thought we would watch your Frontier raid, your first one, and you would walk us through your decisions, why you do what you do, and things like that. But if you have a better method, floor is yours, Ampy.
Oh, okay. Good morning, class. Today we're going to be reviewing BWL. Let me pull that up.
All right, share your screen.
Thank you, Professor
Hold
Ampy.
on. Next time, raise your hand, buddy.
I'm raising my hand, Ampy, sir. Are we on booting?
Yes. No.
Okay,
God.
thank you.
I wanted your thoughts on this, Ampy, while you're doing all of that. What should we be spending our fiery and lava cores on? Just fire res gear, I assume, just for tanks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And before I forget, we have 51 cloaks now.
51.
Yeah, we should use all of them. Like 25 on each raid.
Okay.
It makes Nev way easier. But if you're worried about wiping, you could put like 10 on each raid and then have the rest of the cloaks like right outside once they get to Nev. That's probably the best way to do it.
Well, I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the fact that once we dish out these cloaks, at that point,
these fuckers aren't coming back.
Exactly. Or no, not that. Like, when it comes to drafting, think about the next week's draft. Now we have to bring the people that have the cloaks, and that feels shitty for the people that don't have it and didn't get picked.
Yeah, it is kind of ass.
So that's why I didn't necessarily want to use all of them.
Okay. I mean,
So
20 on
maybe
each grade is fine, but they should go to the sweats, like the try-hard pumpers in the raid.
Okay.
Because
All right.
Neff is hard with 20 folks.
I mean, we're going to keep doing Onyxia. Yeah, of course. We'll keep farming these scales. We're not doing Onyxia this week, but the next week we'll keep farming more. But you see the issue with like, hey, we have to bring these people who have cloaks now. But yeah, I'll delegate. We'll pick people. But yeah, let's walk through it. Everyone open up Ampy's stream.
Yes, sir.
Discord stream.
There's actually... This is fine. No.
I'm still gonna go in blind, so I'm gonna dip out here.
Yeah, sure. If you want to go in blind, you're welcome to. But this is for me and Savix mainly, since we're raid leading. We can't go in blind. We have to explain stuff, obviously. If we all go in blind, at that point, it's sure chat can say it's content, but we might as well jump off a cliff.
Yeah, what the fuck, Tramfin? Don't go in blind. Go learn something. Don't be so lazy.
This is my first time ever experiencing BWL.
That's the thing. You don't. You know, all the fights will be explained by Savix and myself. We have to know what's going on. You are welcome to be here if you want, but you do not need to be here. Savix and myself do, though, because we have to explain this and, you know, delegate and raid lead the best we can. So everyone else,
thanks.
You're welcome to leave. Thanks for coming. GG. See you guys on raid. Otherwise, Ampy, go ahead. Sorry.
Next time, raise your hands. Okay?
Sorry.
You don't? You guys are spending the time. There's the rest of the class in the corner, looking at the corner, out of the stream. Okay? So this is BWL, Blackwing Lair, as many of you guys know. Located in the Black Rock Mountain, near the upper Black Rock Spire. To enter, you need to be attuned. So step number 1 in this class, make sure your entire raid is attuned at least 5 minutes before. So that means raid starts at 1 p.m. EST. Make sure by checking, say everybody zone in, 12:55. If they can't zone in, replace their ass. They should have been attuned.
Did you have
take away
anyone?
their cloak?
Did you have anyone you had to replace in
did.
yours? Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, we had 3 deaths, right? It was an MC into BWL, so we had 3 deaths. It was really bad. The wind force. Group 4 is going Hellspawn. 5 is going north. This guy's way too serious. I don't know. The first boss in here Group 6 is pretty easy. As long as you have one dude who knows what's going on with the eggs. So Soda Savix, I recommend either you guys learn it or put somebody you trust with your life on the eggs. Even if you don't know what it is, if you don't want to learn it, you do need somebody that knows it. Going west. I think I actually do it in this boss.
You do.
Yo, you didn't say group 8. You just jumped.
So Yeah, super easy. I mean, you could literally click it.
Going up top because you lost healers, right?
Well, what is the goal?
You spam this button. You're supposed to destroy all the eggs. The boss transitions to a killable boss. That's phase 1, I guess.
Okay, how do you destroy the eggs?
You press the button. It's a claw. It's hard to see. It looks like Wicked Claw. I had to like change my action bars because my UI was fucked up.
So you just walk
like
up
on
to the
my
eggs and
number
you just
2.
click Wicked Claw while mind controlling the
pretty
boss
much.
through the orb.
Yeah, and if you're controlling the orb, you might double click. That can happen. If you double click, it'll instantly cancel. So you need to be like, if you're gonna do the orbs, whoever's doing it, make sure they know not to be nervous. Just click once. Yeah. So I think Soda's a great candidate for this, actually.
Okay.
Oh.
Make sure to not smoke weed on that day.
Yeah, and then or do, it's fine. It's not hard. It's really not. You split up the groups.
Oh,
If
here
this
we
is
go.
the boss room.
Now we're raid
It's a
leading.
lecture. So we've got the front here and the 4 corners. This is where mobs come from. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And there's ramps here on both sides. I think the simplest way to do this is to have your raid split up, your healers positioned up here. These are your pluses. Your healers are up like on the edge, like maybe standing on the orb. And then have 20 people, or like, you know, 15 people on each side. You know, two tanks on each side. Then you split the DPS evenly. The casters can play like down here, maybe like interrupt. Basically, you're splitting the raid north and south.
So the ads come from the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And your goal is to funnel all of them to the stairway where the healers are up top.
So actually, the mobs behave interestingly. They either go to what's closest all the time, and then they become active. So they either run to the boss or to the orb, and then they choose aggro. So you want to make sure the tanks know that, and they're like generating threat while the mobs are running up, so that they come back to them. Otherwise, they're gonna hit healers up here.
Are they ranged?
Sometimes. The mages aren't a big issue. Just kill them. I'll just play it now. I'm gonna mute the sound though, because it's
No, that's fine. Mute it.
So yeah, it starts off, it's really slow. I mean, there's literally like a minute of downtime where you're just destroying eggs at the beginning, and then the ads start ramping up. Speed it up here.
You can also just arrow key it, because yeah, it just looks like you just walk around and just click eggs.
Yeah, well, I just wanted you to see the ads coming out at the beginning. It's super easy. We did a 4-corner strat, but I think you should do the 2 sides. It's easier. It consolidates your raid.
Okay.
Okay.
Just gonna skip forward. So there's 2 types of ads that are, important. The dragon spawns and then the mages. Who's doing that?
I hear W.
Yep.
Okay.
Who's chewing? What are you doing?
I think that was Vezipu teacher.
Let me note that down.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, destroying eggs. You want to save this egg ideally. This front egg. This is your prized possession right here. This is your last egg. You want to do that for positioning reasons. It's nice to tank it right there.
So once you destroy the final egg, that's when he goes phase 2?
Yeah, that's exactly. So you want to save a good egg for transition as the egg bearer.
Got it.
But yeah, nothing. I mean, it's a little scuffed quality here. Does not.
So this boss is a f***ing joke, unless phase 2 is hard.
Honestly, don't underestimate Razorgore. Like, you want to unboon for this.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
But-
not unbooning. All right.
No, I think that you will want to unboon, especially the first time. It can, like, if you're not doing min-max eggs, it can go like a little bit longer and you get more ads and
Okay, so unboon this shit.
it's not that bad. Yeah.
I'm only afraid, like, if we unboon early, we'll probably run out by the time we get to the end, right? Because we're explaining everything.
Yeah, that is a problem. We're not
That's what I'm
speedrunning.
terrified about.
Well, I have some bad news. That sucks. You either go faster or you don't have buffs.
When you clear suppression room, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. And you kill that shit. Does suppression room, like, does it ever reset? Like,
It doesn't.
would you
It
be
doesn't. No. Once you kill a boss, it disables the suppression room. You just have to clear it once to get back.
Okay, so we could clear that and then go rebuff.
The
and come
traps
back.
aren't active. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great question, Mr. Sodapoppin.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, skip forward to
He
phase
was
2.
homeschooled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit the arrow keys.
What was that?
Sorry, teacher.
Do I have to see you after class?
No, yeah, I'm kidding. You're doing great.
Monka?
Great. These students, man.
Yeah,
Now I'm bugged.
This is some internet
This
problems.
is your fault, Poppins.
I know, my fault.
It's because I have too many windows open. My bad.
But didn't
I
you
think you should
just get on
mention
your
that
computer?
part, Professor Umpy. Like,
What's up?
you
What's
see
up,
how he moved away the boss from the team and then he unclicked? Yeah.
Yes, that's actually really important. As the egg bearer, you do want to give some space, some leeway, so that you don't feel panicked. You can click it once and then you can go back. So I
How do you-
always, when I see like 10 seconds left on the channel, I finish my last egg, I run it back away towards the other ramp, and then I drop it, re-pick it up.
How do you drop it?
I right-click my frame, right-click him, and dismiss him.
Okay,
Or you
like
can let
that.
it run out. Yeah.
Okay.
Pay attention, Poppins.
My bad, sorry.
Yeah. So phase 2. But you can see here at the end, we're gonna have less DPS than this raid by far. Finish these ads. And we have ads up at the end still.
Okay, so yeah, we definitely unboon.
Okay. So going into phase 2, whoever is controlling the egg gets giga threat. You can see 450k threat on this guy. So that's why you usually want to have a main tank or an off tank doing this.
Is the boss tauntable?
No, boss is not
Oh.
tauntable. So you will pretty much not need to do anything. You can just have your shield on the whole time here.
Okay.
I have a question.
What's up?
For that part, do we pop all cooldowns and Death Wish and everything like that at that very end after the moment the tank holds him? in
Once,
position?
almost as soon as Razorgore comes out, every melee is gonna fap, pop all their cooldowns, not wreck probably. I don't think we're wrecking this,
Okay.
but Death Wish. I mean, wreck is up to the individual raids wherever they want to use it. It can be kind of scary on some fights here because it's very threat sensitive. So faps, and then it's like this POV is dog. There we go.
Yeah, we get it.
So you're making a triangle here with your melee. Your melee are max range, really far behind him, and you want to separate a tank in the front. So when he's going to conflag you, it's going to drop your threat. This guy needs to do everything to get. It's like Onyxia. You're pumping super hard to get second threat. Otherwise, it's going to turn and hit your your melee.
Wait, what if you
You want a
just
second
split the
tank.
egg? You have 2 tanks do the egg.
No, it's only the last person.
Okay. So threat resets. Got it. After the thingamajig.
Do that.
Ugh. Gross loot.
Terrible. That's going to be our POV.
So,
One sec.
Question. Why do you fap on that boss?
He'll
Stunned
stun
you.
you.
Does he have an AoE stun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So every melee has to fap.
Yep.
All right.
I'm back.
Yeah, so when he calls the last egg, just be ready to fap and bang from behind.
Got it.
Yep. I don't know what you asked, but yep. So Veil, this probably isn't that scary. It could be. And a lot of people are afraid of this boss. It shouldn't be scary. As a raid leader, usually you call wait before you go into the room so you can get these goblinos. And this is a pretty threat sensitive fight. You're gonna want to start this pretty much as soon as you're, well, I guess not in our raids. So it doesn't matter. Just kill the goblins, talk about the fight. Soda, are you tanking this?
Yes.
And I'm assuming Parla will probably be tanking the other group.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, main tank has a very specific, let's say, like you're gonna want to do some crazy shit to help ensure that your raid doesn't pull threat.
Should I wreck?
So, yes. So,
Okay.
you are, okay, Blood Rage, Death Wish, Recklessness, and Zerker Stance. 5 seconds before the boss, because you need to use your GCDs. Your Death Wish, and then into Recklessness. You could opt to Shield Wall, but are you afraid or are you pumping?
No, I can pump. So I just pop wreck, pop Death Wish, go defensive, pop a Mighty Rage potion, and just fucking clobber this guy.
Right, but you need to make sure that you're doing it right, because you have to be Z stance with Blood Rage, Death Wish, Recklessness, and then you go defensive stance, pop a Rage Pot, and then you pump.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your opener. Yeah, shouldn't be that bad.
Do I want to get half of Recklessness or the full thing? Probably just half, right?
What do you mean?
Well, do I want the full, like, does this boss hit hard or do I want full wreck? Like, do I just want Recklessness for the first few attacks or do
No,
I
you
want the full
wreck.
duration?
No, you
the whole
want
thing.
wreck.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can last stand too. You
Okay.
just open with everything. You just literally send everything at it. You see the combat timer? 5 seconds, you're blood raging. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, your Death Wish, Recklessness, swaps D-stance, Mighty Rage Pot. And then you can last stand as soon as she hits you. That's a pretty good idea to cover your lack of defenses at the beginning.
Got it. Okay.
So this boss, very simple, does frontal breath, conal tail swipe. So you have to face her towards the chair. Usually that's how people do it. You can do the other way, but whatever your raid wants to do. Very, very important. You split your raid so that melee are on the opposite side of the boss and no pets are in between. If you're going to use a pet as a hunter, it should be parked way in the back over here, like where Peter's pet is. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Why?
Because they can chain cleave. This boss does a gnarly cleave, like 3k, 4k damage cleave, and it chains off of the tank. So imagine if I take this.
Oh shit, new tech?
If I take this screenshot, you don't want anybody in this circle. If anybody is right here, it's going to make a new circle. And then all of these guys are going to take 4k damage. And that can happen to your raid. If anybody's right here, it can chain, and then it chains to here, and it can one-shot your healers pretty much. So that's the risk with this. Very, very important. So
Did we
you want
just
very
tell him
clear
to dismiss
stacks.
pet? I don't trust Star.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
you
wanna even
can. It's
risk
going to be
it.
super low DPS. The pets are not going to be. It's going to be like 100 DPS.
Don't be a
but-
coward, Savix. Let the hunters control their pet. They can handle it.
All right. I'm gonna tell them if
Um,
you're not confident, put it away. If you're confident, you can have it out.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing for melee. You don't want anything. Somebody's saying totems too. I don't fucking know. I'm not a shaman enjoyer.
Oh shit.
Basically
Yeah,
nothing
totems.
nothing near the tank.
Wait, totem could get cleaved off of? Holy
I don't know.
shit.
I have no idea.
All right.
As we'll
We'll just keep that in mind.
chat
I
comment.
think it can. Not sure.
So that's it. That's the boss. Plus every 30 seconds or so, he's going to choose one target and the main tank, the current main target, to die. So it's going to give you a buff, burning adrenaline or something. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, burning
But
adrenaline.
yeah, it makes all of your casts instant and kills you after 20 seconds. It's just the mechanic. So in the way you get around it in hardcore is either you have a pre-portal or you Hearthstone. Because your Hearthstone is instant cast, all your spells are instant cast, you can get around it. You just right click your Hearthstone at the end of it and it'll save you. Now I'd say like maybe you spend like 10 seconds with the buff and then Hearth. It's very important everybody puts their Hearth in Kargath, so we don't have to zone out, summon somebody from like Cenarian hold. Is make sure people have their Hearth in Kargath here.
Yeah.
And before you pull this boss, do a check. I hope you guys are taking notes here. This is going to be on the test.
Okay.
Make sure that when you're checking for your buffs and everything on this boss, you do a ready check. You have every single person look at their bags and hover their Hearthstone to make sure it's off cooldown.
Yeah, I've seen lots of
Cannot be
people
on
die because their heart's on cooldown and they don't know what happened, and then the mechanic just
Yep.
one-shots them.
Yep, very important.
There's another mechanic you're forgetting. Doesn't everyone get a buff that just like they get infinite energy and rage gen or something?
True.
Yeah, but what do you want me to say about that?
I mean, it's just one of those things. Rogues and that's why it's such a threat issue.
Are you being a smartass in my class right now?
You're right. My bad. Sorry, sir.
Oh.
But yes, there is a mechanic that gives you infinite rage, infinite mana, infinite energy, infinite focus. Yeah, that happens. Healers can be max ranking all the time, never cancel a cast. But that means that DPS need to watch their threat because you're going to be able to pump way harder than you normally used to. On this fight, casters should be using Fire Protection Potion to help reduce pushback. Melee should not use any potion CD. This is very important. You need to like drill this into your melee brains. No Mighty Rage, only limited invuln pot if they're about to pull aggro. And make sure that they wait like at least a second or two while you're generating threat at the beginning. That should give you a good head start. Do you have a flash set, Soda?
No.
Okay.
Ish, but we don't. The flasks. It's not even in the game yet, is it?
It is
comes
now.
out today.
It came out today.
Oh, I
So you
have a
should-
couple pieces.
At the very least, you should get your flask because it'll make your threat way better. 75 strength is OP. But if
Okay.
you don't have a flash set, don't worry about it. It's not a
I
huge
think
deal.
I do actually have some healing pieces. Actually, I do.
It would be a good threat.
Okay,
It's a really good threat.
I'll work on that.
That's the whole boss. You can't taunt it.
So everyone's going to be generating just an insane amount of more threat, and it's the tank's job
Yeah.
to still somehow hold threat off of them,
Now-
and it's a race.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, if our DPS is low, we may see a tank transition. That might happen.
Oh gosh.
Fuck.
And a tank transition happens because around a minute into the fight, the main tank is scheduled to die. There's nothing you can do about it. You get the burning adrenaline and your HP gets reduced over time until you get one shot. So if the fight is looking a little long, you need to call stop DPS if your second tank is not second threat. Basically, what you're trying to do is if this boss goes long, you full commit to swapping tanks for another phase. Once you have a tank swap, you have another 45 seconds to kill it, so you don't need to pump the whole time.
Okay.
Basically, you're just trying to make sure that the transition is safe and your main tank doesn't die.
Could
So-
any warrior tank it really?
No. Well,
Oh.
no, I don't think so. They would need wall.
Okay.
If they're tankier, it's fine. Maybe with a shield, but I wouldn't trust random warriors with this.
Well, I don't
Because
think
they have to turn it preemptively, and then basically you need to make sure somebody's assigned to this on second threat. Like I can do DPS and I can do it. It's fine in this raid, but Sodapoppin can do it. The other raid probably.
What about Mary?
It shouldn't be that hard. I would not give this job to Mary.
Okay.
Basically, if you're here and the tank hearths out, if you're in the wrong position, you will wipe the raid.
Okay.
So before you hearth out, the tank needs to pre-position in the front, shield on, shield block, last stand, and then you hearthstone.
Okay.
But they need to be second threat. If they're not second threat, it's just gonna turn to
no
melee
point
and
at
kill
that point.
everybody. Right.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the trash. I'm not gonna skip ahead. I'm gonna watch the boss. You guys can see what's going on here. Look at the damage profile and everything. The main tank does get chunked with fire breaths, so healers maybe look for large heals, specifically after spikes or maybe pre-shields on dips. You can see the fire breath gets cast. It's under my frames, but
Look at the rogue's energy.
yeah, rogues pump with daggers here. Yeah, you can see like the threat is pretty fine. Like if you wreck, you death wish, you pop your rage pot, you do everything, you shouldn't have any threat issues. Now this is Alliance, so we have salve, but
Oh my god, I forgot. Y'all have salve. Oh my god,
Jesus,
that helmet.
you guys killed it so
Also-
fast.
also you have debuff when the boss is dead, so don't celebrate right away. Make sure you keep getting healed,
Is that
and
just
don't run because it lasts forever. It lasts like 30 seconds. So you'll have a debuff that'll take for like 4k every 2 seconds. So you don't want to move. You're just
Got it.
staying there and you call keep heals.
I have a question, Professor Umpy.
Yep.
Before we go into the Veil, there's like goblins running around in there, right? Is there like
Yep.
a pull order or like a kill order?
Oh,
that
it's
we should
super
remember?
easy. There's 4 goblins, 4 goblinos, and they're scripted to run away from you. They're afraid.
Okay.
So what do
Oh,
you
that's
just
it.
just
they
farm them
run
for
and
rage?
just kill them.
Yeah, you should farm them for rage, but if you can't, it's not a big deal.
Okay. So they don't actually attack, they just run around and flee.
No, they do attack. They're the same technicians. There's only 4 of them. Usually there's like 12 in a pack or like 10.
Okay.
And it's not that scary. But you can see, I guess you can look at them and be like, oh, that's how it works. They throw dynamite.
Got it.
I
Sorry.
have a question, Professor. For the last part you mentioned about like after killing the boss, do we eat like food just to help out the healers and stuff like that, or like mage food and all that crap? I know it ticks like crazy after the boss for Veil.
Oh, sorry, I had to get up for 1 second. Is there
Okay.
any questions?
Yeah, the question was like after the Veil, I know it ticks still like with that fire or whatever. And I know healers continue healing. Do we have like a set of food from mages just to eat right after that? Or
Oh, it'll be fine.
okay, never mind then.
You just heal it. It'll be over in like 10 seconds. These packs are very sketchy, okay? Very
That's-
sketchy.
Not what I want to hear,
Like-
but okay.
So there's 3 main mobs that you're worried about. Seethers, Captains, and Wormkin. Okay? It can spawn up to 2 of any except for Captains. So it could be like it's any random combination, 1 Captain, and then it's 1 to 2 of everything else. If you get a 1 Seether, or 1 Wormkin, you just sleep it. You're sleeping both Wormkins. The scary part is when you get. We have double Wormkin here. I'm getting ahead of myself. You pull it back every single time. You're going to pull this pack back,
Okay.
and you can see the druid sleeping. The druids that are sleeping are positioned here. They're pre-positioned so that they can sleep the Wormkin as it comes in, but before it hits the raid. So the raid is back here on the left. Graze is should be over there, but that's where the druids are.
So Grace is
Um,
griefing.
A little bit, not a big deal. A little bit. These
As
Seethers
usual.
need to be trank shotted. They do enrage and they hit really fucking hard
Okay.
when they enrage. And you need to split. You need to assign healers here because it gets pretty chaotic, and there's going to be 4 or 5 tanks sometimes. So from here on out, you need to have either a spreadsheet telling people what to do, or at least one healer on every tank, predetermined all the time. There's too much going on that you can't have
So-
people randomly heal.
Have a healer on each tank all the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So you can see here that we're splitting the mobs. We have a Wormkin come in. The sleep was late. But the captain also dispels sleep. So you want to make sure that the captain gets pulled away. When we're doing it, we actually hunter kite the captain for like 15 seconds to the position, and then the tank picks it up. So the tank just now connected with the captain there. So
Okay.
you can do the same position for both poles. You can just pull it back. Captain always goes to this side. See their flame scales to the other side. Wormkin sleep in the middle. That'll make it pretty easy and consistent for people. And druids are spamming sleep. That's all they're doing on this. They're literally sleep, 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 sleep.
It's not like poly. It doesn't heal them, so just spam it. There's no reason
Right.
to not.
Right. Yeah, even when you're killing them, you're using it to like interrupt their cast and stuff. And you can coil them too when you're killing them. You could call for it, or warlocks can just do it. If warlocks are here, coil the wormkin when you're killing it. It's great.
Okay.
But yeah, these mobs just hit hard. Like you can see, Walktimus just got charged off the edge, almost died. Windforce taking big chunks from the captain. I mean, we're pretty geared in this. We're probably more geared than our tanks. So you can expect similar amounts of damage.
You also have
Do it
ZG
all.
buff.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we gonna die, Soda?
It is possible. I'm specifically worried about the Broodlord suppression room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I would be surprised if there were 0 deaths.
Yeah.
Very surprised. In either
gosh.
raid. Like I think it's almost guaranteed that you'll have deaths. We even had 2 deaths in our first BWL.
Ah, it was a good journey, friends.
So you can kind of see the process of this pull. Like captain, 3 melee, 2 sleepers. So in this case, you have your druids, same spot. We actually pull it up here, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Maybe we pull it back.
Okay, so Seether enrages, Captain dispels sleep, and you sleep the Wormkins. Are there any other mobs?
No. Well,
Okay.
there's flame scales, but they just charge. They're like, they're pretty easy. You should not kill flame scales unless they're the front target like this. You should always kill Seethers first.
Okay, so you're only killing Flame Scale because it's the first one out the door. Might as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like by the time X is in, this is dead.
Okay.
And
you can just have a tank on the Flame Scales.
yeah, you should probably, if you're gonna prioritize, you should have your 4th and your 5th tank on flame scales. So you're like Fury tanks,
So
and then your main tanks go Seether Captain.
Seether priority first into Flame Scale, into Captain, into Wormkin.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Obviously, make a judgment call.
Yeah.
If a sleep is in the raid and it's just in the raid, you kill it first.
Okay.
Can you run that
Dudes
one more
fuck up.
time? Flame Seeker, and then one more, and then Captain.
Seether.
Priority is Seether.
Seether.
Well, you could just do it. Seether, then to clean up the rest of your mobs. Like your flame scale, maybe have a wormkin in there.
Okay.
Then you kill the captain and the sleeps.
All right.
Pompey, I have a question.
Mhm.
As a hunter, couldn't you kite the captain for a longer duration and not really have a tank on it and just kite it and make it come
You
back up
can.
to him?
No, you
Okay.
can. Yeah, I think it's risky. The captain isn't that hard to tank. It does maybe like 2k hits every like 3 seconds. It's pretty tankable. You just need one heal or one tank on it. They can heal it. Maybe 2 healers max.
I meant more so to
I
negate
have
the
had-
spells as well, like
Oh,
on the
it's
sleeps. and you
fine
can-
because they're really far away. The
Okay.
captain, I've kited it before in my old raids, and I've gone away from that because if you clip a wall, if you go too close to a wall, it can teleport you to the mob.
Oh, okay.
Just straight up teleport. I really don't like kiting in this. Now that mobs have TP, they like if you evade for a quarter, half second, it'll TP you to the mob, and that'll come into play later as hunter pullers. You need to know that. So I think it's better just to tank it.
For sure.
But that is important too. As the puller, when you're pulling, you want to avoid walls. Whatever you can do, avoid walls and never auto run into walls. Or like the little lips, you can just like randomly evade and die.
Yeah, new
Not
techie
Patrick.
packs did that. I didn't know the captains actually did that as well. So thank you.
Suppression room. Now, I think we have a lot of rogues, so it's fine. All the rogues' job in this is to drop the traps. That's all they're doing. They're never DPSing. Unless you have like more than 5 rogues, it's super nice to have all the traps down all the time. So going into this suppression room, while you're not under pressure, you're at the front. I like to pull the first 3 wormkin and pre-clear and then drink. And then you commit to the room. So like here, we're still like not really pushing in a lot. We're right at the first trap. We've killed 3 wormkin already, or maybe a 4th here. You try to clear as much as you can while being safe at the front. Drink, and then you send it.
Okay, so you're killing the worm. So suppression room. When you get hit by the suppression, how fucked are you? Like these little traps. Just explain what's going on here.
When you are probably within 15 yards of any of these active traps,
the ones that are not that are up.
The up ones, yeah.
Okay.
You will get a debuff that makes your cast speed 4 times as long and your attacks 4 times as slow. So like your auto speed will be a 8-second swing timer. That's how bad it is with the dagger.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
and
it'll be a
only
little
rogues
faster, but-
only rogues can disarm trap, right? You just have
Yeah.
to walk
Only
up
rogues,
to them in stealth.
and they have to be in stealth, otherwise they proc the thing. I think you can drop it while you're out of stealth, but you have to get to the trap, which is why stealth is nice. It doesn't proc while you're stealthed.
Got it. Okay.
So rogues are stealthed, and this is a little paint explanation because this is also important for hunters. If this is your suppression room, and this is your rogue right here, and he's about to drop a trap, right? He's going right here. He's going to drop a trap. Now, as a hunter or a tank, when you're pulling, you can't pull a mob that's right here because what's going to happen? This mob is going to run right over the rogue, and the mobs actually have a pulsing AoE around them like this, and it'll pull them out of stealth. And then this guy is going to aggro all of these whelps. So you're going to get really chaotic situations, and it can be super bad later on because you can actually pull the boss doing this, and that'll wipe you. So when you're pulling, I like to stay, as a rule of thumb, I stay on the right wall with my raid, and you pull from the left. So if that means a mob is right here, you're going to wait for it to finish its patrol and run over here again, because it's like Frogger, all of these hatchers, all these wormkins and everything, they're going left to right.
Okay.
So you wait for a good position. Now sometimes there's exceptions to the rule, like maybe your rogue is in the middle because he's dropping an early trap for you. So you're working around your rogues. You can throw target markers on them. That can help you as a puller or a tank or raid leader. Maybe mark like 4 rogues or something that play in the front.
Can you go over the kill order of these mobs?
Always wormkin. If you have a wormkin in your raid, it needs to be 100% fully focused. Always. And then taskmasters and then whelps. Whelps are kind of dog shit. I'm gonna be honest. Unless you have like 100 whelps, they're not gonna kill anybody. Because it's gonna split to different healers and you should have like try to like AoE them as a mage, but you know, melee are never cleaving whelps as a priority.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, you can see in this picture, I'm pulling from the left, the middle, and my rogue is up here in the front. So there's 2 rogues up there and they're safe. That's kind of what you want to do is you have rogues in the front preparing your path forward. You also want to make sure you have rogues in the back and on top of the raid because these traps randomly respawn. And you need to have somebody there to deal with it ASAP. So
how
we have a rogue.
often do the traps
random.
pulse?
Oh, pulse like every 5 seconds.
Okay, so if they
once
randomly
it
go
pops
back up,
it will pulse you once. I think there's nothing you can do about it.
okay.
But
How long
you
does it
don't. You
last?
want to avoid the 3rd, 4th. It lasts like 6 seconds or 8
Okay.
seconds or something.
And you didn't mention the hatchers in kill order.
Hatchers are first prio.
Oh, okay. So, the worm. I just pro wormkin. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sorry,
hatcher.
I misspoke. It's a hatcher.
Got it.
So yeah, you can see in this raid, I have 2 rogues on the raid, BN and LMGD. This guy is focusing on traps in the raid. This guy's focusing on traps in the raid. And then we have people making sure our exit is clear a little bit so we can back up if we need to. So that's the play. That's why I like having 3 rogues. 3 rogues at least. You can have 1 in the front, 1 in the raid, 1 in the back. How many rogues do you guys have?
Let's look.
You guys know?
I think I had 5.
Okay,
Perfect.
I have 4 and
Right.
Savix has
That's
I have
6.
6.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
You're fucked, Soda. You have Quinn.
4
Yeah,
4 is okay. We had 6 in this and it was cozy. There are taskmasters in this room. Just make sure you throw marks on them as soon as you can so the off tanks know what to pick up. It's going to be pretty chaotic. So,
Okay.
yeah. The taskmasters have weird patrols. Instead of going left to right, they do like this.
Oh,
They
zigzag.
kind of like patrol like up and down and side to side on the areas. I don't really know their exact patrols, but
But you can still pull them from like eventually they end up in the spot you want them at.
you're right, exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
So that's the entire suppression room. There's specific spots along the area. This corner right here is a nice location to break for mana. There's also up here. This is the second part of suppression room. This corner is nice right here. There's pretty much like a couple of cubbies that you can break, and then basically you're just doing this same thing, rinse and repeat all the way up. You go around this pillar and you're waiting right here. There is a couple pillars. The last one I think you can use for like this. Okay. So this is the big boss, Broodlord. We'll make him a little bit. There we go. He's actually hard.
Yep.
He hits very fucking hard. So he has a massive aggro radius. I'm talking like this, right? If you think about LOS, anywhere from there, he's going to aggro you.
Oh.
So this is all danger zone. You never want anybody here. You will pull the boss early. It's actually a little bit bigger than this. Like it's all the way like out to here.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like 40 yards. So you have to be pretty much ready for the boss. You want to be pulling all the wormkin back to here. This is your final kill spot right here. Okay. So there's a lot of Wormkin. Basically, you clear the room while you're waiting right here for mana, just like you did up to here. And once everything's clear, you can hug the wall and move up one more, and then you get ready for the boss. There's actually another pillar. This isn't the final one. This is a little off proportion, but this is you kill the boss here. This is so fucked. Hold on.
We'll see your YouTube
Yeah.
video. We'll actually see it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Here's where it
corner,
comes up.
more Taskmaster. This is a safe spot in this corner. Pretty much, if any healer is you're passing safe spots all the time. They can just sit down and drink. It's not, but you need to make sure that they drop combat.
So why can you not drink anywhere?
You can, but you're perma combat with all the whelps and shit. They're respawning in the back. Whelps have like a 20-30 second respawn time.
Oh my god.
So you can see we just cleared them, but they're back. So there's spots where like you don't have that many whelps. You can just sit there and clear them and instantly drink. So yeah, this is the final room upstairs. That's Broodlord way back there. So yeah, you have looks like five dragons up here left. 4 dragons.
So all the big elites besides the dragons need to be dead before you pull the boss.
Yes, everything. Yeah, all the big elites. You can deal with whelps. So you can see this first cubby. This first cubby is safe. This is going to be where we kill most of the Wormkin. Double Wormkin is actually very scary. You can deal with it, but you need to stop pulling. So what I was talking about earlier, the Wormkins have an AoE pulse, like Withering Flame or something, and it stacks on the raid. That's how it does damage. It puts a dot on everybody. So if you pull, like, let's say you mispull, you pull a Hatcher, and then it pulls another Hatcher, which pulls another Hatcher. You have 3 Hatchers in your raid, you might wipe. Because those Hatchers will stack up the same debuff really quickly. So if you get above like 8-9 stacks of this debuff, it's very scary for the raid. That's why you should be very careful to only pull 1 at a time. Avoid double pulls when you can, because double pulls can chain a third if you pull like at the wrong time. Yeah, so that's the debuff, by the way. You also move super slow.
Ugh. Okay, let me see this Wormkin or Hatcher. Is that it? The little Oh,
that's a Hatcher, right? So when you have 2 and they're stacked, it's not that bad. You can see the entire raid is taking it. So look at the raid's HP. It's not bad with 2, but it's because we're killing them really quick. If we were slow and we had a third one, we had 8 stacks, it would be a different story.
Yeah.
1, 2 is okay, but ideally, you don't
emergency GFPPs for that, I guess, right? But just hopefully this doesn't happen.
Yeah. You shouldn't need to. Pulling 3 is hard. You actually have to try to do that.
Okay. Oh, look at this editing of y'all's clear. Look at that.
So,
ooh.
So this is like the final area. Once you go past this, you should be ready to pull. This cubby right here. So there's 1 cubby, 2 cubbies. So this is the second to last cubby. We are getting ready to pull here. We're getting rage right here. Everybody's ready to pull before you cross this, because it's very easy to pull the boss on accident when you're going up to this next corner.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like if I was like here, I'd probably pull the boss. That's how close it is. So just keep that in mind. So we're mentally prepared to pull the boss, even if we don't. If we get to the final cubby, great. If we pull it instantly, oh well, we have to commit to it. So you can see what we did here is we used a hunter to max range volley these whelps so that our rogue can sneak up and drop this trap before we start pulling. Oh, it makes it super nice, super easy for the raid to move in because you don't get the suppression debuff. If you don't do this, you're gonna have 16 seconds of Giga Slow, and your healers are gonna get blast waved probably.
Okay,
But we
so
need
that
one brave rogue to take care of that.
Right. So you're dropping traps. You need to assign 2 people. Come on, get a better angle here.
What are the chances of the rogues getting caught?
So pretty low. Only if they pull webs. There's also a trap. You can't really see. It's behind the raid frames. You need to have a rogue run with the raid, or you could keep them back here. It's up to you guys. Let's see. So yeah, there's 2 ways you can do it. Either you could have range go to this wall, or range stay here. This has less whelps on it, but it's more movement at the start. I think we should probably do this. So drop this trap with a rogue. Somebody needs to be doing that the whole time. Like, if this comes back up, they are sprinting to do this from the boss. As soon as it's up, they're running there. Or they could just stay there the whole time. It doesn't matter.
okay.
You literally have a cosmetic rogue if you want.
Why
just stands
why
here.
is that one so important? It's kind of not in the way,
Well,
right?
if your raid is here, so ideally you're putting in this strategy, this is a little scuffed, but imagine this is the wall. The boss and all the melee are tanked like right here. Okay. So the melee are behind the boss here, and then the healers are back here.
Oh, and that's
And
where
then
that one
the mages, right? Like all these guys are like back here.
So you got to clear it for them.
Right. So you want to make sure that this trap is dropped right here, this trap, and this trap here. Or I guess it's like right. So you're basically having one person on each of those 2 traps. Those are what you're concerned about.
Okay. I have 40 minutes left, unfortunately.
It's okay. It'll be fast.
Where are
from
you
here on
going,
out.
buddy?
This is where all of your tanks will be. They'll be standing in front of the boss, but like a triangle. So like you'll have 1 tank here, and then 2 tank here, 2 and 3. So basically, you're trying not to get parry hasted.
So no one can be in front of the boss.
But with your back to the wall. Right. Yeah. You should not be doing that.
Now, what mechanics does the boss have exactly?
He blast waves and he mortally strikes. It's a tank killer. This is a tank killer boss. Okay.
Oh.
So on this boss, you want to be wearing probably like a pretty heavy mitigation set. So you're not wearing leather if you can help it.
Yeah.
You're wearing high stamina and you're using greater stone shield.
Okay.
Mandatory. Okay.
What about shield?
DPS. We'll get to that. DPS want to save potion for Lip because he threat drops as well.
Oh my god.
So he threat drops. He also cleaves. He blast waves and he mortally strikes. You do not want to be in front of this boss or tanking him as a non-main tank ever. You will die instantly. It'll literally turn around after a threat drop and one-shot somebody and then go back to a tank. That's how fast it'll happen. It's like Ragnaros on steroids.
Because he'll just get parry hasted as soon as he turns around.
Right. So that's why you're facing it this way, because the boss cleaves. It's okay if it hits the off tanks, but you do not want it hitting the back. Blast wave is unavoidable. All your melee are going to get hit. Just have them stand and run back in. It's okay. They should just be near the wall, so they get knocked into like the gate area.
Is the boss tauntable?
No. Nope. Most of these bosses that threat drop are not tauntable like that.
So basically, when he threat drops, this person's second in threat needs to be another tank.
Right. So you're having 2 or 3 tanks pump. Like all of your off tanks, I'm assuming me and I don't remember who our third tank is. But
We'll
basically the 2 and 3
Blind Samurai
are pumping threat, but they're not trying to overtake you. Tank swaps in this fight are fucking sketchy because, like I said, it can turn, right? And one-shot you. It could turn in Mortal Strike for 10k. That's how 10k. It'll Mortal Strike for 6k and auto you for 3.5.
Jesus.
So I have seen it happen to tanks in Nax gear. You know, maybe they don't have a shield on, they just get one shot. So there's a couple things you can do to get around this. When you're going in as a main tank, you should last stand on pull, so you can dual wield. You're basically covering yourself, right? You're last standing so that you feel safe to dual wield. There's also no mortal strike for the first like 10 seconds probably. After your last stand is about to fall, or it's been a while since your mortal strike, throw on a shield. Just shield and start shield blocking.
So you're gonna try and preemptively block the shield, the mortal strike.
Right. So you're trying to open with dual wield, but there's a point where trying to out threat the threat drop doesn't make sense. Like you'll see. I'll kind of walk us through it.
There's a cap.
I'm walking in. I have last stand as I walk in. No, I'm dual wielding. It's fine. First GCD from somebody, it needs to be a demo shout. He always needs to be demo shouted. Super important. You could also opt to not use recklessness on this fight. It's not a bad idea. If demo shout falls, it's way bad. It's really bad. So you could use Curse of Weakness if you're afraid. You can see our positioning here. The tanks are in front. It doesn't really matter. They're all pretty much going to get parried. This is how you want the boss positioned. You don't want the boss here. You want to like make sure that this is how it is. You have to reposition it. Okay. Tell the melee to back off for a second.
Jeez.
So, yeah, you can see at this point, threat is fine.
He does a bunch of knockbacks too, right? But you're just that's why you have him in the wall.
Yep. So at this point, I would throw on a shield if it's our raid. You have a huge threat gap over number 2. But if you get halved, you're probably going to get overtaken by the second threat anyways. So you can see Mortal Strike. Look at that damage.
Jeez. Yeah, that's with last stand.
It's with last stand.
God.
35%. Just the Mortal Strike. That wasn't an auto as well. Blast Wave comes, right? So if it times really poorly, you can get a Mortal Strike, a Blast Wave, and an auto attack. It's up to 10k burst damage. So you need to have over 10k HP.
Man,
or have a shield on.
Fucked by this blast.
Yeah, melee get hit really hard. It's a hard boss. So at this point, after the first Mortal Strike, you want to put your shield on. I would say that's probably a good metric. First Mortal Strike equals shield. And then your second tank needs to get like pre-shielded or something. And then as soon as they get threat, they last stand. And they're going to do the same thing that you did as they ran in. Right? So you're basically doing 2 tank phases. Hopefully we don't get a third. If we get a third, it's pretty scary.
A third what?
A third tank swap.
Oh, threat drop. Oh, yeah.
Because tank swaps can be pretty gnarly. Because imagine like he turns, all the healers aren't pre-casting, and then he gets Mortally Strike. That's actually what happened to Hellspawn later. He got killed like that. It's pretty terrible.
Damn.
You should show that for a class.
If somebody has a clip, I will. Look, LMGD almost just died, by the way.
Yeah.
He got cleaved and then blast waved. Look at that. Look at that HP. He's dead without ZG buff. It's very important people don't get cleaved.
Oh, man.
So people need to be playing really far back. But you can see how quick this goes wrong. If somebody pulls threat and cleaves the raid, half these people die. Yeah. So we actually didn't have a tank swap in that.
It's actual good damage.
Yeah. We also got lucky. It's random.
Tank swap
These are the
only
text
when you
pack.
get knocked, right? And you drop threat?
Yeah, tank swap happens randomly. I don't know. It's just an ability called knock away, and you can dodge it, parry it, or like you can miss. So it's random.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you just don't get tank swaps if you're lucky.
Got it.
This is your first tech pack. Tech pack.
Yeah.
All of these techie packs are the same. So this should be pretty quick explanation for the rest of the trash in the instance, mostly. All of these packs are the same, but a little different. So there's always technicians in the techie pulls, and there's always 2 warlocks in the techie pulls. This is an easy pull to kind of warm you up to it. Later on, there will also be a dragon guy and 1 to 2 spellbinders. You guys will need to know this.
Okay, always 2 warlocks. Always how many technicians?
I don't know.
Okay.
A lot of technicians. And then 1 dragonkin. Sometimes, like after this first pack, there's always 1 dragonkin and then 1 to 2 spellbinders.
Okay.
So you need to make sure those are assigned. You have assignments for all techie packs. For those, that means you need 5 tanks plus a mage tank. You can see here, we LOS pull every single techie pack so that we can group them like this. It's pretty important. But that means that people need to be really careful about where the bombs are going. If the mage is late and doesn't get threat, all of these bombs are going to target your nearest healer, probably right here, and throw 10 bombs at them. So while the techies are not stable, people should be really, really careful about where the bombs are going. If they see bombs running at that, like thrown at them, they can actually dodge them if they're fast, or if they're not right next to them. So the way that the technicians work is it throws a bomb, but the damage is calculated where, or the position of the bomb and damage was when it finished its cast, or maybe when it started its cast. I don't remember, but basically you can see our mage tank runs in and the bombs will be behind him. They're just missing. They're literally chain missing. You can see the bomb gets thrown and he's just running around in a circle like that. It's pretty hard to see, actually.
It's like throwing engineering bombs.
Right.
Like in PvP, only they just throw where you're standing at the time. As long as you move, it won't hit you by the time the channel ends, right?
If those are your techies, your mage is doing this around them, and the bombs keep getting thrown at their old position. So they can't make a too tight circle. If it's too small like this, they die. It's just right. It's usually like 5 yards away from them. So you're still hitting them all. You want to be on this outside, and then you are super safe. That's how you tank techies. Very, very easy, and don't stray from the plan. Always keep the circle. Never stop circling. Never turn around in the circle. And other mages and AoE guys should not be in here. Nobody else is in here. Use
Fuck zone.
Yeah.
So one mage is going around them, arcane explosioning to have threat?
Yep. Arcane exploding, cone of cold, everything. And they have giga threat, yeah.
Alright, Zico's got this for sure then.
Yeah. So that's the techie pack. That's how it works. I'm gonna try to speed through this because So doesn't have that much time. But that's how you techie pack. Now there's things called spellbinders and dragonkin. We talked about those earlier. The spellbinders are immune to magic. They need to be tanked. Number 1, they need to be kicked. Number 2, and the tank needs to have a healer and a dispeller. Okay, so those you put 3 people on each spellbinder: 1 rogue, 1 warrior or feral, and 1 priest. Okay. There's either 1 or 2, so you might need 6 people for a specific techie pack. The dragonkin. The dragonkin needs to be tanked by your 3rd tank.
Back to the spellbinders.
Away from the raid.
Why do they need to be kicked?
They cast Flame Strike on the raid.
Got it.
The dragonkin cleave and are very tempting targets for casters, but make sure they finish techies first and then go to this guy. Don't let them parse. They need to be faced away and tanked away. They cleave. So I like doing them, just figure a place. Basically, face them away, tank them away. Every time. I'm just going to show you guys this pack so you can see how we do it, and then I'm going to skip the rest of the techies for now. You can see we pull the dragon way off over to the left, so he's out of the way. He's like off the screen to the left right now. Spellbinders and warlocks are LOS'd here. Melee kill them while they're waiting for the techies to die. So we'll just skip forward here. Same thing happens. It's the same exact pull. We're going to do Firemaw. Now, Firemaw has two strategies. I think we should use something called the door strat. Basically, this is the Broodlord gate.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Broodlord. This is his corpse over here. Okay. And then all of your casters are over here. This is going to be your safe spot. The boss, Big Dragon, is tanked right here. Okay. So the way that this works is Firemaw has a pulsing AoE. So let's imagine that this is his line of sight. It is line of sightable. He will, oops. He will do a nice big AoE. But because of the doorway, you can see it blocks it. So it creates some nice safe zones for us. These are safe zones. Right. So same thing happens over here. Right. Anyways, you get the idea. From here, our healers and our tank positioning will be the main tank in the doorway, and then your off tanks are hiding. They're not getting stacks. So this boss over time does a stacking flame buffet debuff that increases the damage you take by fire damage, which affects the flame buffet. So as you continue to go through the fight, you'll get another stack, and the flame buffet will do 400 damage. You'll get another stack. It'll do 800. It'll do 1200, and it'll keep ramping up until it kills you. So basically, you're hiding. All the melee and everybody are here too. Everybody is hiding at 8 stacks. That's the number I think is safe. If you have 8 stacks, you are hiding for 30 seconds. You're not peeking. You're closing your eyes, hands up the keyboard, and you are waiting for the 8 to turn to a 0. Off, drop your stacks. Okay. Now, the main tank is pretty awkwardly positioned here for these guys. They can't heal you unless they're taking stacks. So the way we get around it is by putting main tank specific healers or tank healers, not necessarily just main tank, but tank healers up here, healing, right? These guys are healing your tanks. So you want to have four main tank healers here. The rest of your healers are going to heal your raid and your off tanks. That's the fight. That's the positioning. Mechanic wise for tanking, he drops threat and he fire breaths. So another cone. He fire breaths and it kills you if you don't have a cloak. It doesn't do damage, it kills you. So all of your tanks and probably these guys are most at risk. So you want to give 7 cloaks out here, 4 to healers and 3 to your tanks. Maybe to 5 tanks. Maybe you give out the 9. It's easy strat. It sounds a lot harder than it is, but once you see it, it'll be like, oh, that's actually not that bad. This is just all the moving pieces. The off tanks.
You said there was a threat drop?
Yep, I'm getting to that right now.
Okay.
So the off tanks are standing here. This is off tank 1 and off tank 2. Okay. So there's a threat drop roughly like every 20 seconds, let's say. 20-second threat drop. And it'll half your threat. The way that you get around this while maintaining a safe position is you have a taunt spot right here. There's a nice little cubby where you can stand right here. You're in LOS of both healers, right? And you're going to face the boss temporarily this way into the wall until it threat drops you. So you're gonna have a little timer on your screen for threat drop. I think it's called wing buffet. Every about 20 seconds. I don't know the exact time. At 15 seconds, you want them to taunt. That gives you 5 seconds leeway for another person to taunt or something else to happen. So that means you need to call out as a raid leader at 12 seconds. This means I'm doing this the wrong way.
I still understand what you're saying though.
5 seconds until the timer is your taunt. That means 8 seconds before it goes off, you're calling for the taunt, right? So you're saying 8 seconds on your wing buffet timer. You're gonna have to do this a lot, maybe 2 or 3 times in the fight. 8 seconds. What do? You say OT1. Run in and taunt. If they're late, yeah, sorry, my marker was a little dry. I had to get a new one.
That's totally
so
fine.
you call in at 8 seconds, OT1. You could even say off tanks in. You don't even 1 and 2.
Sure. And so they taunt. Now the boss is facing a different direction. Now what?
Right. So you say off tanks 1 and 2 run in, and then you say OT. It's 5 seconds. You say taunt. Does it land? This is your decision matrix. Does off tank 1's taunt land? No. Okay. Off tank 2 taunt. Does it land? No. Okay. We'll panic. Do something. Okay. And both of these guys start doing mocking blow, AoE taunt, anything. Right. You need to not drop threat on the main tank.
Okay.
But it should almost never happen. This is very, very, very rare for both taunts to resist like
so,
that.
I'm confused why the off tanks come in and they taunt, and then they're just trying to eat the wing buffet.
Yep.
And
Their sole purpose in this fight is to eat the wing buffet and then go hide again.
Got it.
That's
okay.
it.
Okay.
Now, if this fight goes really long, the main tank should be in full fire res gear, by the way. If this fight goes really long, you might go over 20 stacks on the main tank. That's really scary. Let's say 15. Let's say like 15 stacks. Over like 15 stacks on the MT, you need to swap main tanks now. So this is where it gets a little muddy. Ideally, you resist enough stacks that you never get to this point before the boss dies. That's likely to happen. If you get unlucky, you might need a tank swap, and all you're gonna do is say whoever your off tank 1 is, you say I need a tank swap, and then you are gonna become off tank 1, and they're gonna become the main tank. You need to call that out as well. So there's a lot of just tank swapping on this.
Okay.
That's pretty much the entire fight. Once the boss does a wing buffet, that's it. So there's a 20-second loop in this fight that you just do until it dies. With obviously this thing is your like timer.
And most everyone else is just 8 stacks, AFK 30 seconds. 8 stacks, AFK 30 seconds.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
They don't have to think about anything. Just don't pull threat.
Now, the 4 healers that are healing the tank should not be getting any stacks.
Nope, they shouldn't. And if they do, they can just hide for a second and keep healing you.
Okay.
Like let's say something goes wrong and they have to move in because you have to reposition the boss. This is something that is likely to happen, actually. Let's say Big Fireman is actually, right? Let's say Big Fireman is actually right here. What do? Well, that means you're right here, so you're f***ing the main tank healers. So what they need to do, what you need to do really quickly is like do like a little repositioning work, right? Okay. Same thing, if the boss is over here, you need to be repositioning this shit. And when you're repositioning, you're calling no DPS, nobody in line of sight with like don't get breathed. Your goal is to get him right in the middle. There's a juicy spot. It's pretty easy to get to once you learn it. Might be hard your first time.
Wear fire res gear or like should be like Baron gear basically?
Giga fire res. No, Giga fire res.
So Ragnaros.
Yeah.
Got it.
I have a question about the
We're gonna watch the fight while we do questions.
Okay, sure.
What's up?
No, I was gonna say. Wait, are we gonna watch first or?
Yeah, watch and question. It's okay.
Okay. You know how the tanks are coming in to take the buffet and leave? You said is that's on like a 20-second timer?
Yeah, like maybe it's a little longer, but yeah, it's like approximately like a 20-second loop. So you can see
DVN
my wing
should
buffet
let us
timer.
know, right? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can
There
see
we
my
go.
wing buffet timer is out. I've called for taunt. I've called for tank in. Wind force comes in. Hellspawn comes in. I call for taunt. Wind force gets it. It lands. If it didn't, Hellspawn, I'd call for taunt. Now this happens right now. We are wing buffet 3 seconds. I stop everything. I hit escape. I hit escape. I'm not pressing anything. I'm waiting for threat to drop. I'm just auto attacking
Got it.
because I don't want to pull threat. So what's happening right now is you are standing in a position. You're waiting. You're not moving. It's going to knock him back into the wall. His threat gets dropped, and then you can position again. Now
just
the
re-taunt
threat
right
drop.
after.
No, you don't even need to taunt. You're just you
Oh,
you
that's
don't
right, you're
even
right.
threat drop. So, the AOE, there's an AOE threat drop here. Basically, it's around the target like a cleave. So that's why you have to separate from the off tank. Otherwise, you get knocked and threat dropped as well. That's worst case scenario. If that happened here, it turns on the melee and instantly breathes. That's a wipe.
Goodness.
So you need to make sure the main tank is not getting threat dropped. Also, very bad things can happen when you use AoE taunts or mocking blows on all of these dragons. This goes for every single tauntable dragon in here. When you AoE taunt and you get knocked back, you will continue to have taunt on it, but your threat will be 0. So what's going to happen is it'll run. Let's say Windforce AoE taunted, and he didn't do anything. He hid instantly.
The boss is gonna follow him despite being.
It follows him. It follows him.
Oh.
And then it drops and runs back. And if it breathes while it's running back,
Everyone's
it hits everyone, right?
It's a one-shot mechanics. They don't have cloaks, so they actually just insta die.
Yep,
see.
that kills 25 people if that happens. So if you're using AoE taunt or mocking blow, they need to stay in until it's over. All the time in their tank position.
Okay.
So that's really important. People need to know that. That's it. That's the boss. Now,
Question?
Firemaw, what's up?
What about the Thresh?
I got a
What
good
about
clip
the
of that if
Thrash?
you need it.
It's okay.
That all 3 Drakes do on pull?
Yeah, but it's not a big deal because you're not kiting it. You should have shield on in the opener. You can last stand it. But
yeah, but I mean, all the dragons are moving slightly when you pull them. They can have a Thresh deck already. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not that scary though if you have shield on. You should definitely, when you're positioning this boss at the beginning, you should have shield. And you should do no DPS because you're moving a lot too.
I hope everyone listening that has
stone
only
shield.
done MC and is now looking at, like I told you, BWL is a massive step forward in difficulty. It's not hard. I feel like once we do it, we'll see. It's not too bad, assuming we do it right, but it is
I just spilled my water.
definitely a step up.
Yeah, I can see that. The tanks are like surgeons. They better place this properly or we're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see actually, Soda, my stacks dropped. I was only at 2 stacks here.
So it's just.
So if you're in full fire
gigafarms.
res, like you can just resist the whole thing.
Everyone's
and
threat
everything's
should be
fine.
low because they have to like leave
Right.
for 30
yeah.
seconds. Okay.
So yeah. That's the boss. More techie packs. Oh yeah. We'll go through this pack.
Man,
real
I'm
quick.
afraid of the tech packs.
You should be.
So these big guys, fuck. These big dragons, this is a pack of 4. I'll go back so we can see it.
Gosh.
The end of this room, there's a 4-pack of dragons. 3 little guys. These little guys don't do much. You can stand them, stack them, and cleave them. The big guy should be treated like a molten destroyer. It's permanently away from the raid, permanently away from other big dragons. You never stack these things. They have war stomps. They have random abilities. They could sleep the tank. This is actually one that does a threat drop on the tank and a CC on the tank at the same time. So this is where it gets wild. On these packs, you always have your off tanks that are not tanking anything ready. You can see Graze for Days is playing goalie here. You always have a goalie on these packs. Super important. But that's pretty much all you guys need to know about these. You separate the worm guards. You have a tank on each, and then you have goalies.
They're tauntable?
Masters, they are tauntable, yeah, but
Okay.
sometimes it's not easy. These mobs have like random vulnerabilities to magic. You can see this is probably, I don't know what it is. It's probably like arcane or something. Random school of magic, they're really vulnerable. They take like 5x damage from, so threat can get pretty dicey on these pretty quick.
It's like a warlock shadow or shadow bolting. A shadow vulnerable one would be like a 10k shadow bolt.
Right. So yeah, you do 10k threat instantly. It's on the. It's now in the raid and it stomps the raid. Uh-oh.
That's why
your
you need
warlock
goals.
Maybe you
Yeah.
should have said that.
Okay. So same tech pack idea, right? You pull it back. Now you can see we are using frost traps here. This is pretty good. This is a good idea to do. When you're pulling a tech pack, you want a frost trap to proc that they run through so that it splits them from the other mobs. That like delays the techies from coming in. It lets the mage get a nice opener without worrying about the warlocks and the dragonkin getting AoE'd and them getting one tapped. So you want to pull back through frost traps like this, LOS. And if you want to look at like where, like later, you can come back to this and watch how we do them. If you do exactly what we do, you'll replicate it easily.
Okay.
Now, one thing I didn't cover, which you're not going to see here, you need to have a dispeller on the mage always. So you have a priest permanently on the mage and the hunter pullers so that they get dispelled if they get polymorphed. Because if they get polymorphed, they die. That's simple. It just kills them. So that actually happened with some people. I think we actually did have a polymorph death here. Yeah, so you can see our hunter puller pulled the pack back for us. He gets polymorphed right here, and then he gets bombed. Boom, 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 boom. That's why you need a dispel.
Oh.
He couldn't do anything about it. He just died.
Okay.
Yeah. Same thing. These packs are a little annoying. You can use the same exact place to do all of these tech packs right here.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Let's go to the next part because we got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm fucked. Sorry.
That's okay. Honestly, this last part is pretty easy. We'll just do a quick rundown of them. You could also just watch the VOD possibly.
I am going to watch the VOD as well, but I just want
Yeah.
to hear your insight on it. Just explaining why.
Okay. Same thing here. Triple Worm Guard is really fucking sketchy. This is probably one of the hardest trash pulls in here. You should have your Fury Warriors in tanky gear in case they need to taunt. And you separate these just like destroyers. Now, you should pull them all the way back because a dragon patrols down here. You don't want to be caught in the dragon patrol and then pull a dragon. All of your tanks should be wearing Oni cloaks on this pull. Always. Just in case. I've seen it happen where the boss pulls. It's rare, but you can salvage it. If nobody's DPSing the boss, one guy can tank it. It's not that hard of a boss.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind.
Do we
If the
also
boss
need a
pulls, it's
goalie
not
for
a
these
death.
guys or no?
Yes, you need a goalie.
Okay.
You need 2 goalies for this. All of your tanks are ready. You have
Got
3
it.
main tanks and 2 goalies on this. You can see these mobs. I can talk about these mobs a lot, but Windforce got spun, which means he does AoE damage around him. It's Giga. So main tank or like tanks need to be opposite side of melee always, and everybody should be fapping on these. All melee should be fapping running in. So don't get caught in a whirlwind. People can die like that. You can see he's spinning and watch the raid frames. Did anybody get hit? Nobody's getting hit. It does like 2k damage a tick if you get hit by that.
So tanks randomly get CC'd with a spin that hurts teammates.
It can. It's like dogs. They have random abilities.
Okay.
Don't know what they're gonna do. There's a lot. You can look into them. Ebonroc, super easy. This is the easiest boss in the dungeon. Does nothing. You can literally kill him with 1 tank if you wanted to. It would take forever, but you could do it. So the mechanic is the same as Firemaw. There's wing buffets, but now instead of having to worry about debuffs on the raid, it's just a healing debuff on the tanks. So the way you deal with it is having 2 tanks rotating, or I guess 3 tanks, whatever. You're pretty much spamming taunts. The tanks are just spamming taunts. That's the best explanation you can do. You're spamming taunts whenever you get the debuff. Shadow of Ebonroc on Ampy. Who's going to taunt? Somebody. Hellspawn has it. So then Hellspawn tanks it until he gets the debuff, and then Windforce is going to taunt it, or me.
Okay, so you're just
So that's kind
rotating
of how it
who has the
works.
healing
You're just
debuff.
rotating tanks. Yeah. And you're calling out who's tanking, who's taunting as the raid leader. Be like, okay, debuff Hellspawn taunt. Okay. I'll taunt next. It's on Ampy.
And just don't
One
face the
win
raid
force.
because he one-shots with the breath.
Right.
Where are the
Yeah. And
cloaks?
say, yeah, be careful on threat here. On these dragons, make sure to never drop a dummy behind them as well. That'll totally fuck the fight. Flamegor. Flamegor is the exact same as Ebonroc, but he has a different ability. He does enrage. And when he enrages, he does AoE damage. So you just trank instantly. But this is exactly the same as Firemaw. You one tank it with one buffet tank. That's it. Just trank it, and call wing buffets 5 seconds before, taunt. He keeps it, he gets knocked back, it's back on you. Boom.
So off
Red's
tank
great.
just eats the wing buffet, main tank eats it again, and he does what else? Enrage?
It rages, but you trank. Yep. It's super easy. If you have 3 hunters, it should never be an issue. You just call tranks. You just have them literally do it themselves. Just be like, one guy, okay, K-Super trank, PHX trank, Peter trank. You actually see somebody accidentally taunted the boss here and almost.
Oh my god.
That
You
would have
see
been
this?
it.
Look at this.
Oh my dude.
Who is that?
That's
Monka
Slams.
Giga.
Dude.
Monka Giga.
Damn.
I would get a heart attack.
So yeah, same thing here. It's another triple dragon. Repeating, like you can see, once you learn the trash pack once, you're like, oh, you just do it again.
Yep.
So same thing. I like doing the door strat here. I feel like it's pretty comfy. So what I did there is I got a pre-summon to the front. I clicked this,
Smart.
instantly accepted summon. And that's because the dog runs out pretty quick here. This is Chromaggus. He has a pretty big pull radius. So he aggroes pretty quick and you don't want to be caught up there. Demo shot's important. You're wearing your Broodlord set, very tanky set here. And let me just do a quick little so there's 2 areas. This is like the biggest thing you need to know. Okay. So your raid is standing here. All of your raid is right here. All of your casters, all of your hunters. And there is a breath. This boss is going to breathe. Tanked like right here-ish. And let's look at his LOS. So LOS, something like this. This is pretty terrible, but you kind of get the idea. I'm trying to be quick. So he actually has a super long range, like he'll breath you if you're out here. So the only way you can hide from the breath is hiding just like Firemaw. So you're hiding here. All these guys are just hiding. These are our healers. Your tank, your hunters will need to peek out sometimes when it's scary, when most of the raid should be hiding. But they need to trank every time he enrages. But now there is a little spot. This is why I drew this so randomly. There's a little spot right here. Okay, this is important for the off tanks. This is why I drew it. There's a spot right there, and you can see it. It's behind this pillar on the left. This is where your off tank will hide. This may not make sense right now, but this boss has a possible breath called time lapse, which basically freezes everybody that gets hit by it and suspends them in time. That means all their threat gets wiped for the duration, and the main tank always gets hit by it. So the way you counter it is by having a tank decently high on threat, hiding for every single breath. And if it's a time lapse, they're hiding here. If it's a time lapse, what do? they run it back to the front. They're very easy. The problem with hiding like here is the boss moves. So you want to hide in that little corner. Melee are actually behind here. This is their safe spot back here. And they're running in and out like this. When you call in and out, this dog breathes every 30 seconds on the dot, pretty much. You need to make sure nobody's auto attacking, because this boss is a huge aggro or huge hitbox. You can actually auto him from the melee safe spot and the tank safe spot. So when people hide, you press escape twice. Clear target.
Why is it important to not hit him?
When you are hitting a mob, even if it's LOS from you, you will be considered in LOS from it. So that means you'll get breathed from the safe spot. So very important. Call escape. Also assign some healers. I'd say healer and dispellers. So you'd want one priest, one shaman, maybe 2 shaman. And then put 1 healer with the main tank or the off tank here. Everybody else is right here. Okay. That's Chromag. He breathes every 30 seconds. He hits hard. He enrages at 20% HP. Can be pretty scary if you get a bad breath. Sometimes you might want to delay pushing the boss if it's like a time lapse is coming in like 10 seconds. You don't really want a time lapse in enrage. That's pretty sketchy.
Does it tell you what it's going to be?
You don't know until it happens.
I see time lapse on your screen.
Yeah, so we actually get a time lapse and an ignite fletch, which is okay. It's not the worst ones, but you see, Windforce was in the wrong spot. We learned this later. He was in the melee spot. So the boss moves a little bit. He turns it back. That's time lapse. That's it. As long as your entire raid, all DPS, by the way, do have to hide. Everybody eats time lapse, except for the healers and the off tanks. That's the only breath you eat. Everything else you don't eat. So second breath comes through. We get incinerated.
So when time lapse happens, it's important that everyone eats it so that the off tank is top threat.
Right. Yeah.
Got it. And the healers obviously can't eat it.
Right. Yeah. Healers. Yep. So, yeah. It's not that hard. You can see Trank Shot comes out. It's not that scary. The Enrage is pretty scary. If he frenzies in the Enrage. Let's see it. There's actually a situation where we should have held DPS a little bit. So it turns on Windforce. He I think he walled or something. Taking 0 damage. It's not a bad idea to wall this Enrage if you feel scared. I last stand it.
Okay.
Here.
Ooh.
Yoink.
Nice.
So here, because we didn't have sands, this was our first Nef. We actually all logged out, or we all ticked our debuff. That boss, I didn't really mention it, but there's a mechanic where it spams debuffs on the raid the whole time. It just spams debuffs. It's super annoying. You have to decurse them. You have to dispel them. Disease cleanse, right? Cleansing totems are probably insane. I've never seen this on Horde, but that's cool. As for there's a bronze one.
Shamans around, the totems are crazy.
If you get bronze, the only way you can cleanse it is with an item that drops from trash, called an hourglass sand. So you want to split those between tanks, healers, and hunters first, and then the rest on everybody else, like 1 each. If you have that much, we're not going to have very many. So what you can do at the end is just tick it down, just AFK for 15 minutes for the debuff.
What does the debuff do?
It spam stuns you
for
15 minutes.
So just AFK for 15 minutes.
Yeah, kind of. If you don't have sands, it might be a good idea to do it even if you don't have much sands. You could do it, but it's like maybe you have to talk about Nef first anyways.
All right, we got to get Nef because I got to get out of here.
Yeah. Nef. So Nef, I'm a big fan of one side now. One side. So we're not going to split up, and this is where having like 20 cloaks is pretty important. So you have one side. This is the pillar. This is the gate with like the ramp down, and then this right here is the throne. Okay, this is the big wall. You can hide up here. This is your safe spot behind the throne. Right, this is your safe spot. It's a little squished. Get the idea.
Yeah.
Basically, you're gonna have even groups or something killing mobs right here. This is their kill spot. They're gonna be coming from way down here. The way this boss works is you kill 40 trash mobs, and then you move to phase 2. So that's all you're doing. You're just sitting here and collecting mobs one by one, and you're just spam killing them in the little safe zone right here. You want to make sure they're dead pretty close together in this little red box. Same thing here. You want to kill them at the top of the stairs. This is important for later. So you want to kill them pretty tightly stacked. You don't want to leave a trail of bodies all here. You don't want to kill them like out here. Like you want them to be super stacked because you're going to have to kill them later again. And you want to AoE them. So you kill 40, your even groups, let's say 2, 4, 6, 8 are assigned bottom. That means 1, 3, 5, 7 are on this side. And you're just killing them. That's it. You just kill it. You heal. If somebody gets polymorphed, at the end of the fight, Nef will be around and there'll be mind controls. Oh yeah, Nef randomly will mind control somebody every like 20 seconds. You CC them. They hit really hard.
He also randomly shadow bolts, right?
Yep, and he randomly shadow bolts. He can also melee, actually. The ghost of Nefarian can melee, so if you ever see that guy, you do not want to be standing next to him. See, that's him right there. That's Nefarian's ghost. So if you stood right next to him, you might get bonked. Don't do it. So there's a couple important numbers here. At 35 mobs killed, it'll show you on DBM. It'll say every time one dies, it'll be like, boom, 15 kills remaining. So this is at 5 kills remaining. Right? 35 out of 40. You need to be hiding if you do not have a cloak. That means maybe a little bit later, but that's safe. You want to be hiding. So that means that if we have 20 people with cloak, that means 20 people are hiding. That means we have to 20-man 5 more ads. So we're half power and we have to finish 5 more. But everybody has to go to their safe spot if you don't have a cloak. So you're running here instantly. You see 35, okay, 5 bombs remaining. Hide if you don't have a cloak. There we go. That's your phase 1. When you're at like 38, okay, so 2 mobs remaining, you're starting to move over here because you're going to be getting overrun. There's going to be a lot of mobs. Just from experience, I think our raid is going to have a lot of mobs left over here right at the end. So these guys are going to struggle to kill the last 5. And then after that, everybody, once the breath lands, we need a call for the breath to come out. Also important too. At 0 remaining on your final mob, you need to split the raid again. Okay. This means 2 healers and main tank. honestly, yeah, this should be fine. 2 healers in the main tank, and then maybe assign healers to run over from the safe spot. 2 healers is fine at the beginning. So these guys are running to pre-position the boss because at 0, the boss is coming down. So these guys are running over here. I don't know why that's the wrong marker. Anyways, they're running over here, and this will be your final position for the boss. There's a thing here you can use for reference. There's like a square like ruin thing. You want the boss tail to be like this, right? This is the tail. This is the boss, big dragon guy.
Got it.
And then this is his tail. It's a nice little rat. Now, his tail swipe is pretty huge. You want to be away from that. His breath, pretty huge. Okay, so that means when you're in phase 2, your safe spot as melee is right about, let's pick a better, right about here. He also fears, by the way, tremors down. And he does random shit. Class calls, you can look into them. Hunters break their bows, mages get polymorphed, warlocks summon infernals, shamans summon totems. This is all for the boss. These are bad things. Warlocks get stuck in Zerker stance. Can be scary for the tank. Not usually. Put a shield on. Rogues get teleported to the front of the boss, by the way. And
So
they can't
just
move.
randomly die. Oh.
They can't move. For 30 seconds, they can't move. So if a rogue call happens, what you need to do, Soda, is wait for a breath to happen.
And then run through them.
Don't do that. Watch for a breath to happen. Before a breath happens, you are running not through the boss exactly, but not around the boss like this.
So
That's
like
gonna tail swipe
make
the
it
raid.
to where it doesn't ever face the raid. So kind of through it, but not straight through it.
Right. You want to favor the bottom side, but you're swapping, you're flipping it. So that now the head is here. If that happens, people need to move because I'm pretty sure the breath is wider than the tail swipe. So if people were not getting tail swiped, they might get breathed. So big no-no, people standing over here, people standing here, they're going to die if you're standing there. So
Okay.
you want the entire raid nice and juicy up here, right? Maybe a loose spread for Warlock stun. That's kind of what you want. This is your caster stack.
Okay.
You can outrange the fear.
How do
40
we
yards.
deal with, go through each call. So rogue call, we flip it.
30 yards.
Warlock summons demons. What do we do?
Just kill them or banish him.
You kill them. You only have a couple.
Okay. Mage call.
Mage call, you run them away. They go to Africa and they just go polymorph each other like little losers.
So
over here.
mages run away.
Yeah. And you spam dispel. You spam dispel in the tank. And other people. So I want a lot of priests. Priest call. Priest call is important to know too. Priest call makes your healing spells do damage to the people you heal. So I hope you guys don't have any bad priests in your raid. If they don't realize this, you will be getting killed.
They can
Corrupted
still
blood.
use shield and renew, right?
They cannot use renew, but they can
Okay,
shield.
just shield. Okay.
Yeah. So priest call means priests are only dispelling and DPSing or shielding. Yeah. That's the class calls. Basically, this boss is just about class calls in this phase. Just class calls and tank. There's decurses on the tank that need to happen too. Your Resto Druid will probably do that. If you swap, your Resto Druid needs to swap for decurses. It's either playing here or here, max range.
Okay. And it only does one call, or is it multiple per fight?
One call like every like 30 seconds.
Okay. And we should probably only
He
see one,
spams it.
maybe two.
We'll probably see 4, 5.
Oh.
It happens pretty frequently. The boss has a lot of HP too. Like I think in this we probably get 3.
We're probably
see.
not gonna have world buff by here too. So
Yeah, I mean, we
All
should
right.
probably drop another one.
All right. Well, I gotta get out of here. It's I gotta go watch something.
One sec.
Okay. Last thing.
Last thing. This is all. We're almost done. I'm sorry to keep you late. When the ad happens, the ad attrition, I think it's 30. It might be 40%. It might be 35%.
Oh, yeah.
Something. All of these ads will revive, and then run at the healers. Okay. I know this looks a little fucking crazy. You want your off tanks to go AoE lip taunt. You do lip taunt rotation. AoE taunt 1, AoE taunt 2, and then everybody booms them. And the boss is done. If that happens and that's safe, you're done. Okay, that's all.
Okie dokie. All right. Ampy, I appreciate you finishing your laundry to help us out with this. Everyone, as you can see, BWL is a hell of a lot more complicated than MC. It's not meant for hardcore, but you know, here we are 20 years later doing this raid in hardcore. So study up if you don't remember anything. Savix and I will hopefully know everything and, you know, go over it all when we actually get there, especially for the people that aren't going to study because they don't want fucking spoilers. But make sure you get your world buffs, come prepared, get your consumes, and bring your A game. It's just a full BWL clear. GG's, everyone. I'll see you all on
GG's,
Saturday.
man.
All right, later.